When the Torah says don't do work on the Sabbath, why doesn't it list what it means by work? When it says don't worship other gods, why doesn't it tell us what worship actually means? The Torah is full of general commands like this, but without the little details. So how do we know what God actually wants? In this video, we're getting into biblical hermeneutics, so let's get into it. Now we already know that God gave the Torah in two parts, the written Torah and the oral Torah. In prior videos, we've already concluded that both must be valid, but one aspect of the oral Torah is hermeneutics, which is a set of rules for how to interpret the written Torah. These rules were later codified by rabbis, and the most classic list is the 13 Rules of Rabbi Yishmael. But don't get it twisted, just because it's named after Rabbi Yishmael doesn't mean that it's not authoritative. Everybody agrees that these rules were passed down through the oral tradition from Mount Sinai. So the key point, they're not man-made. They were given at Mount Sinai along with the written Torah. Now, some examples of these principles of biblical hermeneutics are deriving a major case from a minor case, limiting a general law when the Torah specifies specific examples, or expanding a category when the Torah singles out one case for special treatment. I know these may sound abstract, maybe even gibberish, but don't worry, we'll tackle them in practice when they become relevant for us. In fact, next week's video deals with one of the principles, so stay tuned. But let's step back. Why would the written Torah be written in such a way that you need these hermeneutical principles to arrive at the correct conclusions? Why not just give it to us straight? There are three major reasons. The first is brevity, or conciseness. Think about it. For Jews, the Sabbath alone forbids 39 categories of work, each with endless applications. If the Torah spelled out every little detail, it wouldn't be a scroll, it would be a library. It would thus be impossible for the Israelites to carry, copy, and read. Remember, the Torah was meant to be memorized, transmitted, and studied. So God gave the general categories and principles in writing, but kept the details and how to arrive at the details in the oral Torah. A second reason is authority. If every law were spelled out, people might think that the written Torah is enough, and thus anyone could just pick it up and start making rulings. But the Torah itself hints otherwise. For example, Moses tells the Israelites to slaughter as I have commanded you, yet those commands aren't written anywhere. Numbers 31:21 refers to laws of purification that were only given orally, and God even had to show Moses what the tabernacle looked like, because the text alone wasn't enough. The written Torah thus forces us to rely on the oral Torah and the interpretive system, which then preserves the chain from Sinai to future generations. A third reason is flexibility. If the Torah spelled out every law case by case, the law would be rigid and stuck in the ancient world. But by giving general principles, God ensured his laws could be applied to new situations in every generation. Indeed, the Torah is written with these principles in mind. In places where one verse could have just said it directly, God instead gives us a general rule in a specific case, so that we'd have to apply the hermeneutical principle to derive the law. Next week, we'll look at one of those examples in action. I wanted to make this video first though, so that when we do, you're not so skeptical. Remember, these aren't rabbinic tricks. They're part of the oral tradition given at Sinai. And hermeneutics specifically are a set of principles that we can use to arrive at God's will. Hopefully your initial apprehension is gone and you're ready to see it in action. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching.